Hello and welcome back to All the Gear, Some Idea. Now today you join me with two 1000cc bikes that have both been off the road for far too long. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to get both of these bikes back up and running and also on the road. Now we have a Triumph Sprint ST 955i and a Yamaha R1, which I believe is a year 2000, and they both don't run. Now what we're going to do in this video is run through each bike, what faults we know they've got, and show you a little bit of the bike. And then in the future we'll be doing separate videos on each bike as to what's actually wrong with them, what do we need to do to fix it and how we fixed it, and hopefully we'll be able to get these two bikes back on the road. Okay, so now the history of how we actually got hold of these bikes. So this one was mentioned to me by a friend that it has been sat in a garage and they just want rid of the bike. It doesn't run. The last time it ran was roughly 4 years ago. They have tried a year ago, but just couldn't get it running. It was on the road up until 2018 when it had its last MOT, and then it's just sort of sat in a garage ever since. So it has been in a garage, luckily, not sat outside its whole life since 2018. I believe the history behind the reason for that is it was the son's bike and he's moved away and it just sat in his parents' garage and they now wanted their space back. So I had a look at it and obviously here it is. Now with the R1, this was listed on Facebook Marketplace as spares or repairs, but it did run when advertised. However, before we went to go and view it, we were then told that for some reason it's no longer running. So with the Triumph, we're not 100% sure why it's not running. They've had a little look at it, they put a battery on it, and that's as far as they went. With this, however, it was running and it was idling and then it just died. This is what we're told. So we're also told that it blew a fuse for something to do with the ignition system, and then they took the fuse out, put a new one in, and every time they tried to get it to run, it would just blow the fuse. They've unplugged the fuel pump and the fuse hasn't supposedly blown since then, or they put it back in and it blew. We've done nothing to these bikes whatsoever so far. This is how they've arrived. Okay, so what we're going to do now is have a little look at the MOT history. When were these bikes last MOT'd? We know they've been off the road for a while. I know this one hasn't been on the road since 2018, and this one supposedly 2020. So let's have a little look at the government website. So for the Triumph Sprint ST, its MOT expired on the 5th of October 2019. And for the Yamaha R1, MOT expired on the 16th of October 2020. So there's only a year between the two that they actually expired. Pretty similar months as well. October, it is the same month. It's not similar, it is the same. So this one, its last MOT, was at 28,293. Now I do know its previous MOT to that, the mileage was 2 miles less. So this bike was taken out of the garage to the MOT station and home, and that was it for its whole year. Which is pretty insane. So I'm looking forward to getting the mileage up on the instrument cluster as it's digital and it doesn't come on at the moment, to see exactly what the mileage is now, and did it just go back 2 miles to the guy's house. The Yamaha R1, however, expired 2020. It passed its last MOT at 49,316 miles. So that's a high mileage bike. For what it is, it's been ridden. Probably hard. And it had some advisories on the last MOT, which was the exhaust has melted the lower fairing. It's got fairings fitted, and the rear brake disc is worn. It did, however, fail on that year for the drive chain excessively loose dry. Fair enough. But also for a front stop lamp not working. A front stop lamp not working. Didn't realise bikes had front stop lamps, but this is what it failed on. Clearly it's for the rear stop light. It just says front stop light. But I don't know any vehicle that's got a front stop lamp, as it were. The Triumph only had an advisory on the front brake pads close to the minimum thickness. Now, I haven't checked anything on these bikes. We've literally looked at the bike, gone, I like it. Bought it, put it on the trailer and brought it back. Same with this one. This isn't mine. This is Matt with two T's. just bought them a day apart from each other pretty much. Same thing. The guy turned up with it on a trailer in a pub car park. It seemed very weird, but once explained, it was all fine. And he looked at it and went, I like it. So this is his. He had an R6 and sold it and bought a R1000 or some newish BM bike. It was rubbish. Then got a GSXR, which was on the channel before for recharging fault, and then bought a Honda FMX 650. Misses the power and the seating and all that sort of stuff, which I completely understand. So it is a step up from the R6 he had, but older than the other bikes he's had. It is what it is. It's a really cool looking bike, but it is also very tatty and doesn't run, much like. So that is the two. Obviously, this is an inline 4-cylinder with carburetors, and this is an inline 3-cylinder, which I like, but it's injected, hence the I. So hopefully we have no problems with the engine ECU as to why it's not going to start. But we will find that out sooner or later. So what we're going to do now is move this one out of the way. We're going to look over the Triumph, walk around it, see what works, what doesn't work, and then we'll switch over to this one. Okay, so with the Triumph, it's got a few little scratches on it and stuff all around sort of these fairings here. Annoyingly, when we picked the bike up, it was raining, so we've had it stored for years, and now we've got it wet. There is also bubbling all over the tank, so it has had a respray at some point, and you can sort of push it down, so the paint has started to come up. So it's probably due to a poor-ish sort of paint job. Now, coming to the rear, it's got a standard exhaust on there. Now, I do believe at some point it had an aftermarket exhaust fitted, and I have paperwork for an aftermarket exhaust, but clearly not fitted now. It does also have a Scott oiler on there, which I believe is a common upgrade for these bikes to have Scott oilers fitted. Obviously, there's no oil in there, so I do need to get some oil if the bike actually does run. Obviously, if it does get it running, we do need to change the oil, as it's probably pretty old. It's got the rear cowl fitted to it, so it's got the plastic bit that goes over the seat, which I quite like. It makes the bike look a lot better. It's got adjustable front forks on it as well. It's also got a single swing arm, which I quite like. Obviously the BM's got that as well, but it's got some weird contraption here with the nut that you undo, and I know there's some eccentric sort of adjuster in here that can go, so definitely need to have a look at that, lubricate the chain. I also know the tyre itself is very flat in the middle. It's not going to fail an MOT, but it would need to be changed when we go to sell the bike. This side's not too bad, even though it would be the side that you'd normally get it dropped on. No real marks on this side. It may have had a complete respray at some point in its life. I'm not 100% sure. And then coming to the instrument cluster, it looks pretty nice. If we go to put the key on, unfortunately, there is nothing. It is completely dead, nothing happens. So hopefully it's just the battery. And also both the rear indicators are broken, and it looks very much like Lee's XR that he had, the 125 Challenge bike. Okay, so obviously it's flat. Hopefully it's the battery that is causing it to not have the ignition turn on, but we will get to that on the next video. What we're going to do now is swap the bikes around, have the same look around the R1, and see what that does and doesn't do. Obviously this one is pretty dead. And then, yeah, let's have a little look at the R1. Okay, so here is the R1. Now, obviously, the R1 looks much better than the Triumph, and that's purely due to the styling and what it was at the time. So that advisory we said about the fairings, you can see under here where it's all melted, where it's been touching the exhaust. I do believe these are aftermarket fairings, not the original ones that would have come up with the bike. It's got some exhaust on it. I have no idea what that is. Never seen it in my life. Tyres are actually pretty good. A little bit out of shape, but could get away with that if needed. It's got some funky seat on it with a hole in it. It's got those stickers. I've had to cover one sticker up on the front, as I didn't think it suited YouTube standards. Coming around the bike, it's all a bit, obviously someone's done stuff to it, but it's still quite rusty. Right, it may have been sat outside for a little bit of its life. It's got the crash bobbins on there as well, which is a nice little add-on to the bike. It's got some weird blue chain on there. You might like it, you might not, but it's also got the rear bobbins on the rear for the paddock stand, which is another bonus. So this bike is carbed. So if we give it the little Yamaha jiggle, the ignition comes on. If we try to start the bike, nothing. Good. But 50,465, and the fuel light's flashing. The fuel light's flashing because we do believe they've unplugged the sensor. The other thing we know that's wrong with the bike is the front brake does not work at all. So you've recognised the front end, as I have the exact same front end on my K100, which is a bonus because I have a few spare parts for it. It just needs judging up a little bit. I'm not sure what Matt's plans are with the bodywork or anything, but obviously it's a lovely looking bike. It just needs to run and have some TLC. So hopefully in one of the future videos we'll be able to get it running, and then we can rebuild the carbs and go for everything it needs, tyres, brakes and all that sort of stuff. But right now, for both bikes, the aim is to obviously get them up and running. Let's get them back together. Okay, so that is a very brief overview of both bikes, how we've bought them, and where we bought them from, the MOT history, just a little bit about them. So now the bike's going to be split up and separate videos for each bike. Maybe at the end, if they're done around the same time, we will do a little thing together. But as it stands, they don't run. So join me next time when I try to see if I can get this running or even this running. But thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that bell icon for more videos on these.